New developments tonight. The U.S. Department of Education is escalating its Title IX investigations against the state of Minnesota. The situation started back in February. The Minnesota State High School League and Attorney General Keith Ellison announcing that they would not obey President Trump's ban on transgender athletes in Minnesota. Fox 9's Rob Olson joining us in St. Paul tonight. And so, Rob, let's start off by explaining the steps taken today by the Trump administration against the Minnesota Department of Education and also the State High School League.
Yeah, this was an announcement today by the U.S. Departments of Education and Justice saying that they are elevating ongoing investigations into those two entities, the State Education Department and the State High School League. They're elevating them to their Special Investigations Team. Now, this was created this spring in order to expedite, basically, and give more attention to some of these Title IX investigations. So basically, fast-tracking this, as it were, because they said in the statement, based on recent developments here in Minnesota, referencing the Champlain Park girls softball team winning a state championship with a transgender athlete on the team, that alone had kind of elevated this to the point of requiring the Special Investigations Team. Basically, again, much more scrutiny and a fast-track, expedited process here on these investigations.
And so, Rob, what is the reaction from the Education Department and also the High School League on all of this?
Well, we've not heard back from the High School League today. In the past, though, they have said that they are following state law and the State Human Rights Act, which prevents or outlaws any discrimination at all, including discrimination on gender identity. I did hear back from the Education Department. They basically referred me to previous statements saying the same thing, that state law does not allow any gender-based discrimination, and they are following that. And so that's kind of basically where this stands at this point.
And so, Rob, where would this lead to next? This seems to be two very different interpretations of what Title IX means. So what happens after this?
Well, that's hard to say. I talked to Professor David Schultz this afternoon. He teaches law at Hamlin. He teaches discrimination law, and he said there's a couple of things at play here. This might be an attempt to just put more pressure on the state of Minnesota to comply with the Trump administration's view of what Title IX means, which is to protect women's sports, meaning transgender athletes not competing in women's sports. But he said it also could be an effort to propel this to federal courts, potentially even the Supreme Court, to get a better definition of what Title IX means. I mean, this is a law passed in 1972, and it prohibits any sex-based discrimination. And in the view of the state of Minnesota, you know, that doesn't mean excluding transgender athletes. That means that there should be no gender identity-based discrimination either, where the Trump administration's view is that it should protect women athletes from transgender participation. So again, competing views, and potentially this could mean let's get this better defined in law, something that was written, again, more than 50 years ago.
All right, Rob Olson live in St. Paul tonight with a look at that Title IX investigation against the state of Minnesota.